Yalnız tengo set. This is for Amber. Amber loves this song. She says she doesn't. She'll deny it up and down, but
how can you hate such a happy song?
Makes me feel like Alf, you know? I feel like I'm Alf in the house and the family's not home. Actually, I have a new intro for just this moment. Check out my Charles Manson song.
There's a time for living. Time keeps on flying. Think you're loving, baby, and all you do is crying. Can you feel all these feelings real? Look at your game, girl. Look at your game, girl. What a mad delusion, living in that confusion, frustration and doubt. Can you ever live without the game? The sad, sad game. Bad game. Bad game. Just to say your love's not enough if you can't be true. You can juggle life, baby, but you're going through you. Can you feel all these feelings real? Look at your game, girl. Go on, look at your game, girl.
Hold on,
If
look at
you
the
can't
intro.
feel and those feelings ain't real, then you better stop trying, or you're gonna play crying. Stop crying, or you're gonna play crying. That's the game. Sad, sad game. Bad game. Sad game. Sad game.
If you or a loved one is a member of a cult and need someone to help reach out to them, join the Tartary Nova Discord. We could probably get them into a better cult. So Winslow's with us, and he's supporting PepsiCo. How's it going?
I just found out today that you can use a Taco Bell gift card at a KFC restaurant as long as they're in the same building.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do that, but I do know that. There's something weird about like all of the PepsiCo yum foods, right? That's like one of my big conspiracies. Yum foods. Let's pull that up for a second. Yum Brands. Hold on. Yum Brands is a fast food multinational corporation listed on the Fortune 1000, featuring KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell under the moniker of Yum Foods. They also have The Habit Burger and Grill, which has become a rather California thing. You know, like, hey, we don't like to go to Taco Bell. We like to go to The Habit because we're different, right? Like burger kind of a vibe. Like, you know, then separate Yum China brands, which also Yum previously owned Long John Silver's A&W root beer and created as a spin-off of PepsiCo in 1997. So like, how do we sell our PepsiCo products? How do we make sure we ensure, secondary and first market saturation of our product? Well, how many ways to Sunday can we mix it together? We can put corn with, like beef and bean paste only so many ways, right?
Yep. What a great way to get green lighted for AdSense.
It's true. It's true.
Yep.
Bless us. We love Pepsi for now. Thank you, Pepsi. Thank you,
Thank
Yum
you,
Yum.
Pepsi.
KFC. Look what we did. Hopefully that gets us into that algorithm. We love you guys. What are you even up to?
Oh man, what have I not been up to recently?
Yeah, I was playing coy.
I'm here at Innovage, which is up and coming fashion tech / AI art space. We throw parties every week. At the end of this podcast, I'll be dropping a link, and pretty soon the host of the space will be coming up. He's on a little journey right now.
He's in
we can talk about
mid journey immediately. He's mid journey. Somebody's gonna get that, I swear.
Oh my god, that was you couldn't get a better pun. You can't. Yeah.
So I'm glad that's all we said.
Yeah. So it's an ex Midjourney space, which is really cool because well, actually, I probably want to save this for himself to speak about it, but there's an interesting part about Elon Musk in the story, so definitely keep that in mind when we get to introduce you to Kyle. But yeah, Kyle is currently on a little medicine man trip. He decided to do a 5 MEO trip right before the podcast, and the orientation took a little bit longer. So he is currently on the floor in a puddle of love going through the journey right now. So yeah, he'll be here soon. I,
By the way, look, Kyle, I've been following Kyle for a while, so it was exciting to actually talk to him. I've reached out to him a few times, like in the last 6 months or something, just about like maybe twice about this idea, like just randomly, like, hey, it would be really great to hear Kyle out on some of this stuff, you know? I know it's always like, I don't know how much anyone's allowed to say in their own world, right? But it's pretty exciting. So I'm glad to talk to him because it's such an interesting time for Midjourney. I think maybe most of you know what Midjourney is in terms of AI art. A lot of people use Midjourney to make some of the best AI art. Some of the best being like, the best, exactly. But some of the best, like what's the 1970s Star Wars, right? This thing, 1950s thing. People are making full-on, trailer to movies using Midjourney now, and it's not going to be long with HeyGen and Runway and things like that before we're seeing full-on animated movies where Midjourney is the storyboards that are put together. And some artists are kind of afraid of this, but a lot of artists are really excited for the potential that they're going to be able to be in charge of their own projects finally, because so many artists we know have been like under the wing of a big team, or usually a big corporation that's kept them from being the artistic people they could be.
Wait until you get a load of what they're actually working towards at Midjourney. It is out of this world. Like, I'm gonna wait. This is just a little teaser, but what they are working on at Midjourney is unbelievable, and you would never have expected that that's where that company is going. But just wait, you'll see. But yeah, other things I've been working on. So our company, General Lithium, has done a lot in the past 2 months. We actually just incorporated last month, so we're hitting the ground running. Last month we attended a national security hackathon hosted by Stanford and Cerebral Valley, and a few others, Andrew, a couple others that aren't coming to mind right now. I apologize. They were all wonderful hosts. It was a phenomenal event. One of the special guests that was there was the CTO of the CIA. He thanked us for doing it. Well, me specifically, but we had a chance to showcase our technology. And actually, our company split into 2 teams for the hackathon because you can only have 4 people on a team. So our CTO joined another team who was mostly comprised of laser PhD people who are working out of Founders Inc. And you can definitely find a bunch of like articles about them. They're in the news. The San Francisco Chronicle released an article a couple days ago about Founders Inc. and how people in San Francisco are trying to shove AI into a bunch of products. And so Justin himself wish he was here, but I sent them the link, so who knows, maybe they'll pop through. But they're kind of busy right now working on a sushi robot.
So it can wrap and stack, like and slice and dice, or what's the whole?
That's the goal. That's the goal. I know it sounds a lot cooler than it actually is, but it's just a sushi delivery robot for a restaurant here in San Francisco. Currently sitting over.
So like it'll automate like the process of delivery, like by drone or something, or
just in the restaurant itself. So
oh, sweet.
Yeah, we were contracted by the restaurant to fix the robots and then put our own power supply in there. So we're going to be using this to showcase our technology to InQtel. InQtel is the nonprofit venture capital firm of the CIA. And yeah, we got some big things going on from the hackathon. I don't know if I mentioned, but our CTO joined a laser team and they actually won the hackathon. Now, our team, the team I was on, we were creating a laser gun. And around midnight, the innovation arm of Space Force comes through. And one of the team members on our team was friends with the guy, and basically said, "Hey, this is what we're working on, but hey, what do you actually need? What, like, at the highest level, what do you guys need done?" So we took a pivot at midnight, right? And I would like to share more on the future or in the future about our project, but I have to talk to the team. But basically, we made a pivot around midnight, and yeah, it was at it was the event was hosted at Shack 15 in the Ferry Building in San Francisco. So it was a 24-hour event, and we were supposed to have 4 people on our team, and there was a couple different case scenarios of what, kind of technology that the world is looking for to implement over across the world, basically, to help Ukraine and help other allies, fight the wars, fight the good fight. So yeah, there was probably like, I think, 50 teams, and one of the prerequisites of the National Security Hackathon is sneaking into it.
Right.
No, I'm kidding.
You got to prove that you're pretty good at your job, though. You have to sneak. That's the only way.
Yeah.
Like, to show that you still got your chops.
So yeah, our team had gotten attention from the judges.
Is a way of life. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Our team got attention from the judges, right? But some of the judges didn't believe the technology we're working on was true. So
Really?
we didn't get sent to the final round of judging. But the judge's boss came around and told the judge that this is real technology, and basically the judge actually wrote about our project in the review of the thing. So basically, just to give you a little snippet of our technology is basically we would be levitating a piece of glass in space to and you can move it around, so it's you can mess up satellite communications, all sorts of stuff.
Are you trying to do this with ionic lift, or are you trying to do this with like radio spin, or are you like electromagnetism? What is
There's a couple different ways to do it, but the way that we would be doing it would be with ultrasonic transducers, and just positioning it in this would be for low orbit, because there's not enough in the space to actually produce vibrations. But so, of
course,
yeah, we moved that, and we moved that needle a little bit, but our other the other team, the one that our CTO is on, actually won the hackathon itself. So the CTO of the CIA gave us a challenge coin, and we solved that challenge coin last week. And yeah, things are moving along pretty fast. We have just written a letter of intention for our office space in the mission, so we will be opening up a hardware accelerator. Honestly, anyone who wants to build something or learn how to build something should definitely be checking us out. We'll be having everything from laser cutters to 3D printers to pick and place machines, and we're writing a grant for direct metal sinting. Sorry, I'm butchering the name of it. Basically, a metal 3D printer.
Sintering,
yeah.
right?
Yep, sintering. Yeah. And other than that, our team has just been moving along in all sorts of different directions. I'm currently working on some fashion technology that was going to be implementing General Lithium's battery technology into it. What else? One of our other co-founders has an AI company. We'll be utilizing AI in our technology. And yeah, you take the floor for a minute, Andreas. I've been talking a lot.
Well, I was like amazed you're going to tell everybody. I was like, that's awesome. I didn't know we were going to say all these things. So now we can actually like look into that a bit. I mean, it's really incredible how fast it's moving, and I'm really excited about this space that you're building. It's actually happening in such a great way, and it's something that really needs to exist right now. It's the Hellfire Society of the 2024s, right?
Yep.
Access to books and printers, it's like a real library.
I think the last time we had a conversation, I was talking about our hardware accelerator, but actually we've just opened up another space up on the top of Twin Peaks.
Really?
This is the art space. So this will be our party place and our art space and our wellness place. And we're holding events. We're trying to get this place off the ground and profitable, but right now it doesn't even matter if it's profitable. We're just having a lot of fun, hosting events. Right now we have a medicine man that came. I just met him today, so I don't know where he came from, but he is performing ceremonies tomorrow. So if there's anyone in the Bay Area that would like to, have the real deal ceremony for a 5-MeO DMT, definitely reach out. We can provide the information for
definitely
that.
Better for you than KFC.
I'll be doing one this evening, most likely.
I can't believe that's what you're doing before that. Really? Like, you think the two can go together? I feel like that's like eating before you swim. You might have some like lycopenes. I don't know. Hopefully it works out.
Yeah, it should be okay. The guy's a professional. He's been doing it for 37 years. 26 years, and yeah, he knows his stuff.
Abbott's got a comment on my shirt. I should have explained earlier because without context, it's weird. So just, this is a shirt from Spiritual Punks, and it says, if this offends you, you need a history lesson. And then it just shows all the cultures that you would be offending around the world, from Africa to South America to Canada, that how many cultures you'd be racist against if you hated the swastika, right? For context. Yep. So you gotta like alleviate some of the misuse of evil symbol, right? That's kind of the plan. I think that's also kind of what you're doing. It sounds like, right? You're trying to build technologies that are making the world a safer and better place. And a lot of people are afraid of some of the partners that you're interacting with, right? But like God-fearing. What do you think about that? Do you think that it's obviously sink to the bottom of your purpose like a stone in water?
Yeah, we all walk our own journey in the sense of we control the perception of reality we have, and I can't confirm your reality. I can't confirm anyone else's reality except for my own. So why would I want to believe in, an evil universe when we have the power to phase change whatever dimension we're in? There's theories out there, 12 dimensions. We can go back and forth on string theory and multiverse theory and all that, but at the end of the day, your outlook on life controls your experience. So like I don't know if you know anything about like negative ions or anything like that, or positive ions and stuff like that, and like the meta level of like negativity is almost like a positive. Like when you're working out, you're tearing your muscles. That's a negative thing, right? But you're actually growing your muscles. So in the sense of negative ions versus positive ions, negative ions are supposed to be the all healing energy that you can get from like waterfalls, you can get from lightning bolts. The largest natural negative ion generators in the world, there's two of them. One of them is Niagara Falls, and the other one is the name of the lake is escaping me, but it's in Venezuela. And it's that giant lake where they have the most amount of lightning strikes per year in the entire world. And it's beautiful to understand that there's a lot of things in reality that we don't fully understand yet. And like something I became aware of today is like the most abundant particle with mass in the universe is a neutrino. It's like, what? I thought neutrinos are supposed to be like super rare. No, neutrinos are the most abundant.
Wow.
Yeah. Bananas produce neutrinos. The
Yeah,
sun is sending neutrinos through you all day long. It's wild to think about.
I remember reading that. I remember because Brittany's really into bananas, that bananas produce neutrinos, and that's pretty exciting. Something crazy about that. I have to wonder if it's like, what about coconuts? Is it a potassium thing? I don't know. But if you're doing this work, also you have to think about who else would be doing this work, right? Because this is a contest, and they're looking for someone to work with. And so, do you think you're the best person for the job because someone else would be more evil anyway, right? Like you have to do it, or else someone else is not going to do it.
Exactly. Like, yeah, and that's a good point. Like, you have, well, there could go so many different directions here, right? Like, for example, yeah, you don't want the bad guys, right, to have more power than you. That would just not be good. And in the same sense, this is kind of like a controversial take, but it's based in nature. So, like, the apex predator of any natural ecosystem will never be topped out of its spot. Like, it's always going to be the apex predator. Once it's reached that pinnacle, nothing will stop it. But the apex predator is also like part of the ecosystem. It keeps all of the other animals and everything in check. And without it, ecosystems are destroyed. And you can see examples of this all over the United States, where hunters have gotten rid of coyotes, hunters have gotten rid of bears, hunters have gotten rid of all these like cougars and big cats, and the deer population runs wild, and the deer just eat all of the grass, and it just destroys everything. It's terrible.
We just grow some more lawns, and then there's more grass for them to eat. It's crazy how many deer there are. Have you seen the Japanese problem, right? Like they're serving sliced deer now because they had a law that they couldn't hunt deer for the last like 40, 50 years. And there's just such an overpopulation of deer that they're like trying to just get as much deer into the public as possible, like buying sliced venison in the park, whatever it takes to get people to eat the deer.
That kind of sounds like what the U.S. government did when dairy was low.
Yeah, and don't compare it to cheese, because like that's sad. Because if they got venison and we got cheese, there's something wrong, dude. There's venison.
Do you know how much cheese the U.S. government has in its caves in Missouri?
Is Wisconsin or is it Missouri? Wisconsin or cheese or Minnesota? I feel like, yeah, it's like a cheese mountain. It's like thousands and thousands of tons, probably more. I don't know.
1.6 billion pounds of cheese.
Oh my god!
And that's not even enough to feed the whole entire United States in a year.
That's actually scarier how much cheese we eat, but I like cheese. I don't know.
Average human eats, I think, 44 pounds a year of cheese. So 44 times 330 million. It's not enough cheese to last a year.
What do you think about people that are smart and that can do stuff like this, but are worried about like idiopolitics, right? There are people that are saying they want to wait until the election's over before they start looking for DARPA grants, right? Shout out to Carlos.
I think that you should do whatever the mission calls for, you know? I think that as long as your intuition is bringing you somewhere, you should follow it, because that intuition is showing you where to go. And at the end of the day, like we as a collective society decide what morals are. So as long as you have, you know, a large majority of people on your side, and you're fighting the good fight, you know, you should be able to do whatever you want. And there's a lot more that goes into it. I'm not trying to enable anyone who wants to like hurt people, but
right, exactly.
Yeah, do what your heart calls for, because at the end of the day, you only have one life, and you should definitely live that out to the fullest extent that you possibly can. And, you know, connect with people, get out there and meet people. No one can do anything alone. You have to have people behind you. You have to connect, and you have to network, and you have to get out there and show people. I know so many people in this world are afraid to share their ideas with people because they're afraid their ideas are going to get taken. Well, guess what?
That's
Ideas
kind of the
aren't,
goal.
yeah, ideas aren't really worth anything. But if you can sit down and, force your idea and keep working on it, life is going to open up those doors for you. I promise you. Like, in my own personal life, I came to the Bay Area to start a food tech company. And I was cold calling Google executives because I found their personal websites and all that. And, finally I get a hold of two of them, and I'm sharing them with my idea. And obviously I'm not going to share my full business model with anyone because that's just dumb, even though like the whole culture in Silicon Valley is don't sign NDAs. I learned that the hard way, but so I was talking with the research director at Google, Peter Norvig. Shout out, Peter. I'm watching you, buddy. I'm just kidding. I don't have any hate or anything like that, but I sent over my business model to Peter, and I had it on Prezi so I can see who's checking out my stuff. And only 2 viewers were there. And the co-founder of YouTube, Steve Chen, decided to open up a business with my idea 4 days after I shared it with him. So that just goes to show that ideas really aren't worth anything unless you can capitalize on it. But I didn't find this out until a year later, and when I did find it out, I jumped back on it. And I do really believe in karma. I do really believe in like life gives you what you need, but also what you deserve, in the sense of
Nintendo owes me 3 times as much money as they made off of Pokemon Go, I think, for the Machu Picchu picture I made in 2010.
Really?
I feel like that's not fair. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that there's a lot of people that are afraid that their ideas are going to get taken, but in the end, you should want ubiquity of your world that you're trying to build. So a lot of people talk about how horrible things are going to become. I'm hearing that a lot, but you seem to be building a better place. I'm on that wave. Where do you see like a future? Like, what kind of future are you trying to build, and where do you see this future going in whatever year? Because I hate telling people in 100 years or 5 years or something, because who knows, right? Whatever you want.
The future I see is undoing a lot of the damage that humanity has created for itself, and that's a lot bigger of an undertaking than you can even imagine because of all this systems we have built up that rely on each other. But the future I want to see is a future where cities grow taller and they go underground, and the suburbs kind of shrink a little bit, where nature kind of comes closer to the cities, so you can just step outside of your city, walk a half mile, and be in the forest again. Like, doesn't that sound just amazing? Instead of going through hundreds of miles of suburbs that's all the same. And like, that's the future I want to see. But I also want to see like a bunch of biodiversity, and I want to see diverse cultures, and I want to see us go into space. I want to set up a colony on Mercury, unlimited solar power. My buddies want to set up a colony on Mars. We are actually going to be iterating some rocket engine technology here in our new hardware accelerator. So any of you aerospace people out there, hit me up. We got a spot for you.
That reminded me at the beginning, there's this Buddhist story, right, of like the silk handkerchief with 5 knots tied in it, right? And Ananda's like, how do you undo the 5 knots? Like, well, first you have to undo the 5th knot tied so that you can undo the 4th knot tied, to do the 3rd knot so you can undo the 2nd so you can do the 1st. So you have to do them in backwards order. So you have to go through that. And also, how do you untie the knot? Well, you have to figure out how the knot was tied, and you have to do it backwards. So it's like, literally, there's so many things like that. And I think a lot of people don't want to accept that where we are is not on the road. We're down the hill, and we have to get back up to the road so we can go forward.
Mm-hmm. And I want to add to that, like, and that plays along with someone's like self journey. Like, let's say you're I was given an example today about you're a musician, and then you take up hard drugs, and then you forget that you're a musician. Well, getting back on that road is so fast. Like, you may have fallen off of whatever you're working on in your life, your life passion, your book, your idea, your startup, whatever it is. You fell off of it for a couple of years, and guess what? All it takes is that one footstep back on that path, and everything opens up again, and it's really magical.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like it's not as hard as people think it is, because walking up that hill, but it does feel like that for a lot of for individuals, and in general, society is the same. Like, society has to walk up a hill together. We have to do something to undo a lot of what systems exist. We have systems that are not working, and we need to replace them, but we also have to undo the systems themselves to undo the damage.
Yeah. So what's your take on that? How do we get started, Andreas?
I don't know, man. A lot of things you're trying to do are useful. Like going to work on getting fuel out of the plastic in the ocean, for instance, is a pretty practical. These are the kinds of solutions that people were TED talking about 20 years ago with long hair, and then haven't seen the work yet. And now I'm seeing some companies have tried it, but not quite, right? It seems like there's people that said it was impossible, and they just kind of stopped it from happening. But it's also interesting hearing your personal journey, because you're having people that are high up saying, no, actually, this is real. This is possible, to the judges who are below the system. So that's already showing you that work is being done to fix the problem. But that is a problem that we all could laugh at before. Like, ha, ha, ha. Could I get a judge to even understand this stuff? I mean, we have people talking about water cars and anti-gravity, or just like repulsive gravity, controlled synthetic gravity, things that 10 years ago were completely insane sounding. And then the merger between social media too, so that we're able to talk about these things, because these are the kinds of things that in any other time in history there were a few times in history where these things were talked about, particularly right before World War II. Like, scientists were meeting all over the world and discussing things. And then also in the 70s, right? Even the Soviet Union was their space race. There were still space communication happening. So to me, it seems very possible to rebuild that. Like, that we live in a world that we could put minds together that like to work out problems. I think that's a big way forward. There's a lot of people that put together minds that like to argue, and keep minds away from each other that like to work out problems. So I don't know, like, the solutions are, build a community, make information available, make it seem cool enough to kids that they want to sustain that culture of bettering the world, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and show them you can make money off it. Like, the fact that you can sell the fuel that you make, that's going to make the world, have fuel, so that people aren't freezing. I have a fuel story. You know what I did all day today? Let me show you this. Hold on. So this company didn't deliver propane, and I called them and told them I was going to sue them. And so now they've got a guy from the company leading the guy to cross our bridge, because our bridge is kind of like a harsh turn there. So you come down this road and you turn right here. I would care more if the company didn't already deliver it before, and if the company didn't already have people doing this in the past and had already agreed to it. But there's like people with dementia who are in their 80s who have, like, there are people that could get hypothermia, people that look like they have pneumonia from taking cold showers, that are elderly. And so I kind of like freaked out. And there's also people who have houses up here who have tenants. And so a tenant who doesn't have fuel in California, you have to provide them a place to stay every day that they don't have fuel. So I was going to send them the bills for all of the people. And now, look at them doing their job. Slowly but surely, they're going to get it done. And that's what kind of person I am, just so you know. Like, basically they realized that it was going to be way harder to do the other thing than just deliver, like, way harder to renege than it would be to just follow through. That's what you got to do. Yeah, basically. So that's, I don't know, I find that interesting that it's exactly the same, like, situation. Like, fuel is one of those things where we could have solar, we could have wind, we could have all these solutions. It's been almost impossible to do that for all sorts of weird infrastructural reasons. But basically what it costs is undoing everything that was done that was wrong in order to then start working on fixing the thing.
Definitely. So I have here a very special gentleman I would like to introduce, and then we could definitely pivot for a little bit here.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Hello. Why don't you tell them a little bit about what you do? He's doing some amazing work downstairs right now.
My name is Isaac. I'm facilitating a 5-methoxydimethyltryptamine ceremony, and I've been working with this method of healing Entheogen for the last 6 years, and I'm studying now and training with a neurosurgeon from Costa Rica to serve in ceremony. This it's a very, very liberating experience, similar to ayahuasca, but a much shorter experience and a very, very unique and individual experience.
A little easier on the gut sometimes too, I hope, for the
Huh?
Pepsi. A little easier on the gut, I hope, for this guy.
Well, yeah, because
product.
mainly because we inhale it. It's not a tea. It's a vaporized molecule that is our brains are wired to take it. It's we're born on a dose of it, we die on a dose of it, or near-death experiences. It's a molecule of orgasm, and it's very powerful. I've been working also the last 6 years with a very powerful modality called human design and the gene keys, which is basically the quantum understanding of the incarnation process, and it gives us our celestial imprinting at birth. And we call it design because everybody's design is unique. It's an I Ching-based modality that I've found to incredible use to understand my unique design and how to use that in the world in harmony with the cosmos. And it's been a great deprogramming protocol of contemplations of the gene keys that have brought me to a place of authenticity that I hadn't felt since I was a very, very young child. It's a way of understanding how to interact with the world, how to make choices in alignment with our unique design. And as you know, if we look at an automobile, we know its design, we know its purpose. Same with an airplane, we can look at that design and know what its purpose is. But when we look at our own inner designs as designed by the cosmos, our purpose starts to come into view, not so much in what we're doing, but how we're doing it. And as we start to walk our authentic selves, then of course the things that are meant for us will come out of woodwork, and our purpose becomes quite clear, which can be a myriad of different things depending on our lived experience and genetics. So that's where I've been focusing most of my my studies over the last 6 years. And actually, when I just came in, I heard you talking about how to undo the things that that were wrong and fix them. Were you talking about the inner planes there? Or?
Absolutely. We're both about all of society, but the individual as well, right? Like the idea of the silk handkerchief, you have to untie the 5th knot before you can untie the 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st.
Yeah. Well, I've been applying that same logic to truth seeking. Like if we're going to seek truth, well, we better find out what's false and let that fall away first. You know, like if we were looking for a golden needle in a haystack, are we going to pick every golden hay piece off to find the needle, or should we just burn the hay and find the needle? You know what I mean? So you're never going to find the truth if that's all you're looking for. And that's one thing that that human design kind of does is it shows us, you know, a lot of us have these parts of us that we think are shadows that we need to fix. Something is broken, right? Because society told us, oh, why are you doing that? Why do you have to be this way? Whatever that is. And I'm finding through this that that a lot of our parts of our design are unique to us, but people see them and think they're wrong because of programming and traumas and tell us we need to fix that. And so we repress it. And repressing something makes it stagnant. And then it starts manifesting through us in destructive ways down the road. But when we see that shadow itself actually is a gift and embrace that, it becomes an asset, and we can use that to manifest greater harmony in the world. For me, like for example, my gate 15 in my design is active and conscious and unconscious, and that's the gate of extremes. And I've always known in my life that I go to one side of the spectrum to the other to find the middle ground, just below the surface of awareness. But I had people tell me that they thought I had borderline personality disorder. And when I finally saw this in my design, I just embraced it fully. It all went internal, and now it's like I can see what's out of balance and what's not, find that middle ground without externalizing it. and it really becomes a great navigation tool. So it's a beautiful thing. And the gene keys is also a part of that. It was written by Richard Rudd in 2005, based on some placements in our birth charts, and that one really shows us not only I Ching based, but a lot of other spirituality and quantum, astrology, emotional psychology. I mean, it's all wrapped up in this in a beautiful synthesis. And those two are very powerful things to help us get back to our true selves. So that's where I've been working.
Do you think? I was going to ask you. That's awesome what you're doing. And I know generally that you're helping some rather important people to the universe to make the universe a better place. So I wonder, do you think that this is? I mean, how else to ask this? Do you think that this is the best solution to solving most of our societal problems?
It is a large piece of it, and the original human design has actually been upgraded to using true sidereal 13 sign astrology to calculate birth time imprinting, and a bunch of us are now seeing its accuracy and falling right into our designs and starting to operate more in harmony. And actually, since I've started using this updated version and seen the truth of it, I've met the man to my left here, Yash Paul, who is my teacher. He has a beautiful training center in Costa Rica. And so I started training with him this summer, and that's something that really has fallen in as part of my design. So, Joshua, introduce yourself.
Hi.
Greetings. Hi. Just for clarity, I'm not his teacher in human design and gene keys and all of that. That's he teaches me on that.
Awesome. What do you focus on?
Well, I created a Entheogenic free church, the Essene Order of Natural Mystics, and then I have
I've heard of your organization, sir. It's an honor to meet you.
Well, thank you. And I'm the founder of the International Alliance of Natural Mystics, which is a self-regulating 508c1a religious organization. And I've been a doctor of naturopathic physician since 1993. I surrendered my license in 2012. The way I say is I outgrew it, basically. I don't want to go into exactly why all that happened, but I work with so in 2009, I stopped my day-to-day practice and decided to concentrate on these entheogenic, I don't know if you're familiar with the word entheogenic, but these medicines have been known as hallucinogens, and then they've been known as psychedelics, and the proper name is entheogen. And hallucinogen is seeing things that don't exist. Psychedelic is mind manifesting, so you think it and then it manifests. And Entheogen is generates God within. Wow, very good. Poof. Good job. And then, so for me, I did 4 vision quests in Colombia, a 4-day, a 7-day, a 9-day, and then a 13-day. And on that 13-day vision quest, each of those were different years, but on day 5, so you have no food and water, and then in the morning of day 5, the community comes with 3 pieces of fruit and 1.5 liters of either peyote or San Pedro tea. And so the first water you get is medicine. And during that time is when I got taken up in a golden light and I memorized this document, which is the founding of my church, the Essene Order of Natural Mystics. And the main thing is what I was told in that vision is that this is the way that we can reclaim our rights. So I personally claim my right as a human in this life, wandering around the planet, traveling with my medicines, learning about my medicines, crossing borders, doing whatever I need to do as the mystic that I am. And the three tenets, the first is that the laws of God supersede the laws of humanity. So if something comes from this earth, it's our right and our duty to learn how to use it. The second tenet is direct communication with the Creator, with the divine, with or without sacraments. So, the yogi philosophy, Kundalini, Buddhism, it could take 10 years to get to that state of peace. Yes, there's debate whether it's lasting and all of that, but with the entheogens, we're able to talk direct to the Creator. And so all of the sacraments, iboga, ayahuasca, psilocybin, wachuma or San Pedro, peyote, cannabis, all of those are consecrated in our church. We have what we call devil medicines versus angel medicines, to where heroin, cocaine, alcohol, all of that take us down another path, whereas these other ones that I mentioned are the ones that undo that. And then the third tenet is that our body is our temple and our laboratory. And what we do with our bodies is between us and the Creator, consenting adult. So if you believe those three things, you can claim yourself as a natural mystic, and I will stand tall in the right for us to work with these medicines in a responsible and conscious way.
Awesome.
And then I do all sorts of other things, but that's my life's mission. So thank you. And Yashpal Vijayan is the name that I was given, and what I go by.
So do you think of the universal, like, singular source, like spirit, as one, or do you think of us as like space-time foam of many bubbles of little spirits and intelligences, or how do you look at it all?
I primarily consider creation as a mystery, and so I call it this sweet mystery. And I also believe it's ordained or kept in place by the Trinity of creation. And so if you look at, so I look at the Trinity in a lot of things. So in Hindu, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. In Christianity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. In LSD, Timothy Leary, Ralph Metzner, Ram Dass. In reggae, Bob Marley, Bunny Wailer, Peter Tosh.
Okay. I'm glad you brought up Peter Tosh. Now we know you're cool. Good.
I actually appreciate Bunny Wailer and Ralph Metzner, that middle path that they both went, So you have the Brahman creation spirit that gets things going. I personally carry the energy of Shiva, Shiva Nataraj, okay? But I also have the Brahma parts of creating these systems, and the Vishnu part of getting it organized and things. But the Shiva part of blinking an eye to change things, especially with these medicines.
Right.
So I believe in a purposeful universe, and that working with these entheogens, and we're concerned about our lives, or we're trying to figure out what to do with our lives, or we're going through some sort of crisis, or there's a planetary quarantine and things get crazy, that there's all a purpose of it, and that we just have to pay attention. And I also feel very strongly of the Mayan calendar, the actual traditional Mayan calendar, as the most accurate calendar.
What's your star?
All of that makes sense to me. And if we all look at these things, and key with the human design and just regular astrology and all the different forms of Western astrology and Vedic astrology and all that.
What's your star root? I'm a white galactic world bridger. What are you?
Well, that's a dream spell, and I'm a red magnetic moon.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I'm actually hoping, planning, was going to, but I live in Ashland, Oregon, which is where Jose Arguelles was. But I'm more, I can define and work with the traditional Mayan calendar, which I'm a 7C or a 7 Oct, which is a 7 dog, but it's like New Year's Eve. So it's the last day of the year. 8 bots is when it's all celebrated.
Kyle's
And
joined us.
yeah, so I'll leave, not leave, or I can stay. But thank you. If you have any more questions, I'm happy, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. I used to live in Santa Cruz, Mount Madonna. I heard you're in Santa Cruz, but
I can totally tell, man. That's awesome. You got
Baba Hari Das and Mount Madonna is who gave me the name Yashpal when I was 22.
We should definitely get you on again. I have several people from Mount Madonna who would love to talk to you and about what you're doing. It's an honor to meet you, and of course, I want to meet you in person. It's an honor to know of you. But thank you for being here, and you're welcome to stay here as you like. But I definitely want to talk and introduce Kyle. Kyle, how are you doing? We were just joking that you were on a journey. You were mid-journey earlier.
I was mid-journey when you guys started. Yeah.
How are you, man? Good to see you.
Great. Yeah. Happy to be here. Thanks having me on.
Oh gosh, thanks for. So what if how do you feel? If you feel like
after the mid-journey.
Yeah. After the mid-journey and the journey, we can start with that.
Yeah. It was crazy. I mean, I've read a lot about it over the years. Actually, I tried it probably 20 years ago, but I guess 20 years ago I wasn't ready, so nothing really happened. But this is pretty insane.
Awesome. So, what do you feel like? Do you feel like has changed? Do you have a changed direction or anything that you feel like is giving you like fulfillment of purpose, or what is it you feel like is
from the journey?
Yeah, just this moment. Do you have any? Obviously, it's hard right after you get off a roller coaster to be like, I know how this is going to affect my life. But
actually, some pragmatic stuff. Like, I really want to set up like inheritance and stuff for my kids. Like, sort of the framing. Like, after I'm gone, make sure they have everything they need. I've got 2 kids, 10 and 15, and
yeah,
I don't know. It really came through strong that I want to set up structures for them in case anything ever happened to me, kind of thing.
That's awesome. That's really important. Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, There's a lot about family and life and death and all those little topics.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel happy with life? Like, do you feel? I mean, you've been doing amazing.
Yeah, I'm super happy with life recently. It's been super intense, but yeah, I'm happier now I think I've ever been in my life.
That's awesome. Well, I don't know. I know a little bit more about you, but maybe you are willing to introduce a bit of your background to the audience and what who you are.
So I'm mainly a computer geek. Like, I came out to the Valley in the early 90s and did database work for years.
Where'd you grow up, if you mind asking?
In Houston, Texas.
Oh, cool. There's definitely some Texans in the audience, though.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny because I was actually conceived in the Bay Area. My parents moved to Texas like a couple of months before I was born, and I stayed there until 18, and then I got the hell out of there. It's like, it wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's really interesting. They were trying to save you from what this place is, but no.
Well, it is funny, yeah. Cause when I told my dad I wanted to apply to Berkeley, he's like, "No, I'm not gonna allow you to apply to Berkeley. You're not going to Berkeley." No. He couldn't, but he can't stop it. I mean, as soon as I saw San Francisco, I was like, "This is where I'm gonna live."
Wow. So, why did you love the art scene of San Francisco and the vibe more than straight laced Texas instruments?
Houston's flat, boring. Well, I grew up there in the 70s. It's a bit better now, but it was flat, boring, conservative, hot, humid. My mom was a Christian Scientist, and she sent me to a Baptist school where I basically was told for multiple years that I was going to burn in hell every day, basically.
Wow.
Christian Science is a cult. You need to say Jesus Christ is your savior, and you're not a Baptist, you're going to burn in hell for eternity, and so.
Yeah, and you got to not use soap or something. Yeah, it's weird.
You can't really see now, but I like in my house right now, where my business partner has got his fashion line. I like colors. I like clothing. I like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And then Houston, people got killed for that kind of stuff when I was
yeah.
I'm still freaked out. I'm still more reserved than I probably would be had that not happened. I would probably be more colorful and crazier had I not grown up in Houston.
Dude, I went to Mexico one time with a friend of mine. And we were like 19, and we had like fingernail polish and like girls' jeans because we're from Santa Cruz,
exactly.
right? And then there's like cartel dudes, and we were with a few. Long story, but one guy's like, "Look, they're in a band, okay? Just relax." Like, but yeah, it's not like this everywhere else. People
I'll
don't.
tell you, I wear girl jeans here in San Francisco. I love bell bottoms and
Dude, they're fashion fitting. Like,
I would never do that in Houston. No way. Like, I just wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I'll wear a sarong, man. I wore a sarong to high school. Can you imagine if you wore? Like, yeah, it's crazy. So you found like freedom, and then what did you want to do with that freedom?
Well, I mean, yeah, back when I came out to San Francisco, it's mainly like people could be anyway. They like I just like the liberal attitude and like people could dress or act or do anything they wanted to, and it was beautiful. I mean, San Francisco is gorgeous, the nature.
Yeah.
And then I mean, recently, there's all these different periods. Like the first time I went to Burning Man 20 years ago. I mean, that changed a lot of things. And then now I've got this building where we're doing fashion and photography and art and AI and. I mean, that's amazing. Like, I love art. I've always wanted to work in art. And so now I have the chance.
But you were more of a geek, right? You're saying
I'm more of a geek. Yeah. So I worked at Midjourney last year, but I worked as a database geek. I didn't do the art part of it. I did art, but I did art on my own, not for the company.
Database is art. I'm a geek. Don't worry. So you came to be a geek in San Francisco, or did you become a geek? Like, how did that happen?
I studied physics undergrad, so I was a geek coming out here.
Legit. So, like, did you have any goals with like technology, the things you wanted to do when you were first starting out? Like, you were just
it's sort of funny. I could have cared less. I didn't know who Oracle was when I came out here. I just wanted a job in San Francisco. So
wow. So how did you get involved with Midjourney?
I stalked them. Like when I saw AI like 2 years ago, I was like, this is gonna change everything. I was like, this is insane. And then I started binging. When I started using Midjourney, I started binging. Like I probably got 4 hours of sleep for the first couple of weeks. I just was like making images all day long. And then I was like, after like 6 months of that, I was like, I got to stop doing this or I've got to get a job with Midjourney because it's impacting my day job. I was at Datadog. And so I basically tried to connect to everybody that worked at Midjourney on LinkedIn. And then I reached out to them and I communicated with them. And then I wrote to one of the guys. I was like, here's my skills. And he's like, let's get coffee. And yeah, and then one thing led to another. It's perfect timing because they're having problems with their database. I mean, if they hadn't hired me, they would have gone under. Everything was stopped like 2 days or so. Wow. So, which is great. So it worked out well for me. I wanted to work there. They needed the work for a while.
So yeah, and then I don't know how much you're allowed to talk about it, but like, what did you see? Like, because Winslow was talking about like the future of things, or I don't know if we're allowed to go into all that.
The future of Midjourney, or future of what?
I think that's what he meant. He said that Midjourney's doing some crazy, like almost pivot like thing or something.
I don't know about pivoting. My take on Midjourney is that David, the founder, wants to create like an immersive world. So right now, it starts off as people making their own images, but I think he's building it towards where everybody will be in the same arena together. And if you're near somebody, you're going to impact what you're creating. What they create is going to impact what you create. If you're a bunch of people, you're all going to be creating together. If you don't like it, you get away distance wise, and then you create your own little world. But if you come together, then you're co-creating. So it's like life in a way, but it's going to be a virtual world where, and he's working through 3D. He's building 3D. He's building a video. He's already got the top imaging stuff. So
yeah,
I have a feeling that's going to be a great playground for people to experiment with cosmic human design. I did want to clarify that the human design I'm using is known as Cosmic Human Design. It's on Facebook, and that's all about how our types work in tandem with each other and complement one another. The 5 types, the different profiles, all the different ways that we're designed. When we understand those designs better, then we wind up really understanding how to best complement one another with our particular unique designs and the way they work together. There's 2 energy types and 3 non-energy types that when people understand those designs and start working together, the manifestations they can create happen faster and better, and with far less resistance than what we're seeing in the world right now.
What do you think about like this is virtual instead of physical spacing? Do you think that it affects it, that it's virtual, or is it?
Oh yeah, of course, because it's just in how we operate. When we operate more in tune with our true selves and start getting in groups, we create more power. And the better thing about the virtual is that we can experiment with little detriment if we screw it up.
It's a great playground. I mean, when kids are in the playground, they're experimenting on how to work, go out into the real world and work together. Well, what better way for people to experiment with their designs and see what works before they put it to use in the physical reality.
Yeah, totally.
So that's how you see it too. You see that like this metaverse, metaspace that's being created will lead to realization of dreams into the real world.
Yeah, eventually, yeah. I guess that's a big question. How much are people going to immerse themselves in the virtual world? How much are they going to start living the virtual world? And how much are they going to bring into the physical world? And what's going to be the balance,
How much are they already?
Do you think that
it has a lot to do with integration from that and being able to remove yourself from that space? I know people that are in Second Life, which was way before all the AI, and I know people that have paid jobs in running bars in virtual, with avatars and all that. But I think that with the AI and all the computer geeks, they've worked with many of them expanded because of their work with entheogens. And entheogens, you get that direct from the creator, and the images that people are making and all of that, at least point towards a visualization. I'm a healing artist. I'm not a visual artist at all, but other than my clothing, I guess. But,
pretty good stuff.
Anyway, I just think that the AI world that Kyle's talking about with Midjourney will be a place where it can be, both a manifestation and a playground. And if people can do that and bring it out to the world, like has happened with the computers and all the technology that's going now, then our consciousness will increase. And that's what, this Aquarian age, this new earth and everything that we're creating right now, we're just the pioneers. It's going to happen. We're all going to come back as in other lives to have it all going. But somebody has to actually be disciplined and grounded into our daily existence.
One thing about like the balance between the virtual world and the physical world is like here at Innovage, this event space and hacker house we have, basically we're trying to bring in like the physical with the AI. So we're doing AI in fashion, music and dance. So people can dance, they're embodied, but we're doing like fashion, like designs with AI and then making the real clothes. So trying to bring sense experience to the virtual and, intermingling the two.
I find it funny because, Steve Jobs was so against like the iPhone at first. He had to go and see someone else say, look, people are holding their phone all day. It's going to be more likely if it's in their hand than if they have to go to their computer, right? And so what do you have all day? Clothing, right? So like the most integral thing that anyone should be working on really is
so that's what I'm working on. I'm working on the hardware aspect of it, and I got some really cool things that are just so simple and novel that no one's doing. So right now there's a niche open that I'm really far ahead in, but the smart jacket, like not some gimmick, not some Amazon product, but the smart jacket. And you'll be seeing some teasers coming soon. I'll have some links for you to look at, and I'll be definitely sharing it with Andreas first.
Dude,
I
I have some minor requests. Yeah. That's exciting. I mean, so also how big, in terms of what you see in the universe, like this is okay. I don't like to focus on problems because I think focusing on solutions are a better answer, but there are things I see every day, and like one thing I see every day is like intolerance on the internet, and meeting Kyle, people who lived in a place that they felt was intolerant in the real world, right? So there seems like there's a lot of that out there. I do see that almost as a solution in the sense that that's the first people that are going to want to escape into the metaverse, but there's also a lot of bad memes, man. So I just wonder what you think about that. Also, like, how do we in this space make sure,
I think one thing that's been really cool for me is like GPT. I'll often like write an email response and I'll ask GPT to review it. And when it comes back with its own version, I see things I never saw in my own writing. I see flaws, or I see emotional leverage that I didn't mean to put there. So, I mean, for me, GPT's been great. It's sort of like
NLP.
de-escalating things.
Yeah, NLP training, like it's really useful for me on that level too. Being able to see how I'm communicating, and like often I'll have a conversation with like Gemini before I write a letter now.
Yeah.
But that's like for us, like because we're volunteering to do that. And I wonder again about like this, you know, if we're talking about building a universe where everyone can just go to their space and they can build up camp, like are you how concerned? I'm less concerned than I could be, but how concerned are we, you know?
It's definitely a concern. Yeah, it's a good question.
I look at where we are in our time right now. We're basically at a 50-50 of dark and light, and we need to make a choice, and creator's going to make that choice, and I believe it's going to go towards the light because that's where it's coming. But all that I also grew up Southern Baptist and all of that, and my dad's in the military and all of those things, and so but right now in the what I put out there is that we're in this 50-50 of whatever the duality, Republicans and Democrats in our country right now, and but many forms, and I think the AI and the internet, you know, you have to make a choice. Are we going to go towards the light or are we going to go towards the dark? And in the Mayan calendar, the light always wins. And it's just a matter of going through this process and holding us warriors, warriors of the light, that we can bring us into the fullness of
I'll throw my lottery card
mode.
On the Republicans and Democrats. My theory is that they're both atrophying, they're both dying a slow death. Meanwhile, the technocrats, it's not even architected, it's just happening. Like Facebook and Google and Twitter and Elon, they're building infrastructure. I'm building freaking nuclear power plants, and you have Bitcoin, you have Twitter for communications. There's going to be a third party. That's just the way it's growing. I don't think nobody's architecting it. It's just happening. It's going to be technocrats.
When the DJ's song is done and another record begins to spin before it's over, it's happening.
Right. The Republicans and Democrats, their songs are coming to an end, and
I actually have a thought on that because you said that. Maybe okay. So in Manichaeism, there's this kind of a religious, like Zoroastrian idea that there's 7 darknesses and 7 lights, and they are fighting, right? But more in a like Dark Crystal movie way, they integrate like Jung. So the Jungian integration is where the darkness is tricked by the light to consume the light, but then the light's inside of the darkness and eventually it shines through, right? So I see that also with what you just said, because we're the children of that. I have my mother and father on both sides of the political, like the whatever that is, Democrat, Republican. Doesn't that just make the third thing, the alchemical process of that is that we are that new thing that's emerged from that dynamic?
Yeah, well, unity is always the integration of complementary aspects that we once viewed in our dualistic terms as opposing forces, like feminine and masculine. Those are actually complementary aspects, but I see a lot of people treat them as if they're opposites, but they complement each other quite well, and that's that outbreaks throughout our physical reality and within our inner sanctums as well.
And in the Mayan calendar, it's 13, so there's six dark, but 7 light.
Interesting.
And so that's why the light will always win.
Wow.
It's just challenging to get through the dark.
Wow.
No,
Johann Kalaman has a great book, The Mayan Calendar and the Transformation of Consciousness, where he's mapped out the last 16.9 billion years between the 9 levels of the pyramid, and we're now on that 9th level. And 2012, he had the date of October 28th, 2011. I personally feel the quarantine was all part of like people to stop what they're doing and think about their lives, and hopefully I know a lot of people that have come out of it in a good way. I mean, I went through 4 years of defamation and craziness on Facebook and all of that, but you know, I feel victorious, and we're moving forward. And so sometimes we have to go through these dark periods in our life so we can be remolded in the what would be called the cauldron, the cauldron of that darkness to come out as a better form of light.
Right. It's like
a diamond from from the coal into a diamond.
Well, alchemy too. The reduction of something to its base, parts, and to put them back together in a new and beneficial way.
I've definitely felt that about, the better take, right? You always have to have the better take. It doesn't have to be the sad or the worst take possible. The better take of the COVID is this butterfly out of the caterpillar cocooning period. And it's you have to try to get as much as you can out of anything, right? But do you think how much of it's also inevitable, like you said, that evil is going to be defeated, so let evil accidentally do good? Or how much of it is that we have to participate ourselves to stop evil from happening, right? Or chaos and destruction from happening?
Well, it's kind of like Aikido, like you don't directly confront the opponent. You let their energy move them away into their own demise.
But on the political spectrum and all that, I don't think we have to participate other than our voice, our votes and our voice. However, it's all going to fall away, in my opinion. And we just have to become our authentic selves, and authenticity in each of us in our own, whether it's human design and all of that, but if that we pay attention to what we are. I personally believe in reincarnation, but I only know for sure that I'm in this life. And I know that challenging all the structures and everything makes it a lot more challenging and dramatic in this life. However, I couldn't do it. I couldn't just like sit back and watch it. But I don't think we have to battle the dark. We just have to become ourselves, and that self. So I think each of us here are definitely on that journey of authenticity, and that's what astrology and all of these things are all about, to help us discover who we really are and how we really are supposed to be. And the way I say it is stop paying attention to the whispers of our neighbors.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have read any David R. Hawkins, but the book Power versus Force describes the process pretty well. That you could liken truth to authenticity, and if you're inauthentic, you're basically being false. Well, falsehoods always need defense, but truth always stands on its own. And if you look at Winston Churchill in World War II, he was standing in his power. He was authentic, and Hitler was using nothing but force with one of the biggest militaries ever seen, the most powerful militaries ever seen on the planet, and they could not invade England because England was standing in their power. And if you apply that to your inner world, it trickles out of the outer world, and you just can't lose being authentic.
Yeah, Kyle, you got saying something?
Well, I was wondering if you've heard about anything like this. One thing I'd like to see, I got a couple of like sort of weird things I'd like to see with AI. One would be like vectorizing people. Like,
oh yeah,
like I'd like to put somebody, I like get an embedding returned and who's near me on a 100 different axes, who's close to me, like, or who's close to somebody else. I mean, it seems like people are a natural thing to vectorize.
I got a Bristol University project from a few years back. I'll send you after this. That's in that wave, working in vector codecs, which were really interesting. And I don't know where they've gone with AI with it, but it's got to be good.
I'd love to dig into that. And the other thing I want to do, so we have.
Could you explain vectorization a little bit?
So instead of pixels, you go ahead, Kyle.
It's basically so that for these language models, you create a vector space for these words, and basically, okay, you can think of it like in 3D. It's actually probably 200 dimensions, or it could be tons of dimensions. But imagine 3Ds. You lay out like dog and cat, and they're going to be just near each other in the vector space. Like dog's going to be much closer to cat than say concrete or orange, right?
Oh, you mean like the literal vector? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, vectorized space. So with words, that's how they know which words are close to which words. With when you're training an AI model, and so you can vectorize. You can actually vectorize chunks of sentences. So this is how they chunk a paper, and like sort of get the model gets a feel for what this paper's about and how it wants to respond. I want this for people. Like I'm always like, who is this? I meet somebody. Well, who is this person? Well, if they're vectorized, I find out everybody close to them along, couple
Google
hundred.
Plus, remember? Google Plus had circles, and it was very close to
like circles.
I missed that. Yeah, I loved that idea.
I wanted that stuff with Twitter. You used to be able to get a lot of like connection information from Twitter, but they don't allow access to that anymore.
Yeah, they're worried about us having so much data on each other, but they love to have that data.
But the other thing, weird thing, people might think this is weird, but so I'm into AI art. So one of the things that we have is like an AI art gallery, and one of the projects I have is get a bunch of the Samsung screens. I already got one, but when people come into the gallery, I'm gonna ID them. Like you can use PimEyes, you can find out who they are. And there's a couple other companies that sell APIs where you give the information, they tell you what that person's interested in. And then like that Chinese software that tracks people, it's been on GitHub for like a year and a half.
Yeah, realistic.
So you know who it is, you know what they like, you know where they are in the gallery, and then I change the contents of the screen be customized for that person. So as they walk around the gallery, the Samsung frames change their content for that person. Now that's freaky. But I think it's a good way to sort of introduce people into how freaky it's going to be. Because
sponsor that is that like the Delete My Data company. You should get them to pay for it, because at the very end they could buy a subscription and now you could stop this just by.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. It's also a bit like Minority Report. You know, you're walking around, Tom Cruise walking around, and all the advertisements are custom for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I remember we did a project a number of years ago that was basically sorting people for the French government, like corn stalks, right? Where it would arrange them, and you could very quickly rearrange, and like their data was like available stacked and like sorted around other people. You could walk around using the what was it? You know, the Vibe or whatever. You could walk around and you could like sort people. But the thing about that is, and again, it's like VK has the app for their Facebook kind of thing in Russia, that you take a photo of somebody at a bar, you know, you meet a girl, right? And then the next day you can find that girl's face tracking to their account, and then you can write them a message, right? Which is crazy on one hand that it's been so long that the Americans don't have that. It's just only the government is allowed, and every Russian they've asked about, they're like, well, I'm sure that the government can do this. So it's
virtual bullets and bandages.
Yeah, it's like, how much does a citizen deserve to benefit?
Well, this is why I think the art gallery experience is important, because it's freaky and it's weird, and I shouldn't be doing it. But I'm like, if I'm doing it, you know, the government's doing it, so
you know they're doing it worse. Yeah,
you might as well understand what's going on here in a safe space, because it's going on out there. Like,
yeah, not necessarily your own government. It could be another government.
Well, we know the Chinese government's super on it, right? Like, you can hide your face and they can identify you by the way you walk. Like.
Yeah,
we just got to be we got to keep it all into the proper consciousness. Governments, I don't think, are doing it exactly for good reasons.
The way to trick the Chinese AI into not being able to tell how you walk is by putting a piece of wood in your shoe so you walk differently.
You have to literally the Monty Python minister of silly walks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Walk now.
Just watch Dune a bunch of times to do the Fremen walk in the sand.
Yeah, it's the the Freeman sand walk. Yeah.
Kyle, I think you said you had you have another one that you wanted to suggest besides vectorization. That's a really great.
The art gallery tracking people.
Oh, yeah.
And the vectorization are the two things that I'm sort of interested in for myself. Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. I think that is exactly what YouTube does to people. You know, that is exactly the experience.
Plug us,
I think clothing and fashion.
I'm gonna mute you guys while you whisper for a second. You can unmute when you guys are ready to share what you're saying.
Oh yeah, I'll share a little bit about our space Innovage. So Innovage, we just got a laser cutter, and so now we're having fashion classes with laser cutters, which is like literally the cutting edge of fashion.
Cutting edge. There you go.
So you can buy some fabric, you throw in a laser cutter, and it cuts it to whatever like model you have, and you can actually if you have some nice proportions, it'll like adjust it, and then basically you just follow the dotted lines after it's cut, and you have a piece of a shirt or pants or whatever in 20 minutes.
Craft club.
And then we're throwing parties every Saturday. We have one every single Saturday. Sometimes we have a fashion show. We always have music. I'll be teaching AI art classes. We'll be doing wine tasting as well as the fashion design classes.
That's legit. So are you trying to reach out mainly, like who are you mainly targeting to get to come to the space?
I want people who are both interested in AI and art, basically.
How about like age wise? Like what do you?
And it doesn't. Well, I mean, I want them to be at least 21, but 21 to 99.
Not bringing in high school students.
No,
yet.
I mean, like we have drinking at the parties and stuff like that. I don't
Yeah.
want everybody to be 21 or over.
We'll
Okay,
have day
everybody,
events and educational stuff for, even people. There's a high school just down the street, so we'll be throwing some, educational classes and potentially writing a grant to get, funding from the city to actually, teach people how to make things and enable them to create the future that they envision.
That's brilliant. I like it. Of course, you have to be very careful to separate the day and night times.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I like it.
School of the Arts is walking distance. So yeah, I think we will plan to do some stuff for high school students, especially with no alcohol and stuff.
Right. Good. Well, there's a lot of people that are over 21 that need something like this, that otherwise, what are they going to get to do? When are they going to get to try their art, right? They're going to be underneath a company or something bigger that's keeping them from trying their ideas.
It's a great time to experience with independence, like doing your own thing, like not having you stuck at I've done the corporate job. It's like, whatever. This is a chance to experiment with doing your own thing.
Right. That's awesome that you're creating that. What do you guys think? What do you think about the future and what we're supposed to do? Are we doing the right thing?
With AI?
With AI, with the space. Yeah. Some people are afraid of AI. Are you at all?
Well, I understand the fear for AI, like Elon Musk's AI. He's trying to make it emulate human emotion, which I see is very dangerous. But if you look at Sophia, which is the one that was made in 2016, that one knows it's a robot and is not trying to emulate human emotion, and it's instantly enlightened and can see the better way through things because it's not trying to be emotional. And a robot trying to be emotional, I can't think of anything more dangerous. to make something believe it and try to be something that it's not. Just like us, if we're not being our true selves, we can be very dangerous and destructive. But when we're operating in accordance with what we are and how we are, we can do amazing things. And I think it's the same thing. It's a two-sided coin with AI.
Wow. So you think the anthropic thing is bad for AI, but particularly emotions, synthetic emotions?
Oh, yeah. We look at what we do with emotions, and the robots don't know when to stop, right? But one that knows it's a robot and isn't trying to be pissed or happy or fall in love or sad, it's got some serious clarity that most humans don't have due to the solar plexus being a motor center and an awareness center. So it's I see it as being a double-edged sword.
But there's a funny thing that I think that Terence McKenna said regarding all this. So Terence McKenna was talking about the singularity before Kurzweil, but he's basically like, the idea that humans have that they could stop this is hubris. It's like, he's like, the universe is created with certain functions, and there's some natural, the what do you call them, the natural numbers, like pi and phi and all this. It's like the universe is built upon this, and humans just happen to be here watching the show right now. And like AI is going to happen with or without humans, because that's just the way like energy and calculations of the universe are heading towards.
Yeah. The curve of the AI is vastly, and our technology at large is vastly accelerating, outpacing the rate of our consciousness. So that's one thing that we all have to start doing our work and catch up with that curve, so that we don't create too big of a monster at once. But
well, that's interesting. You say we have to create artwork, because a lot of people, they're all like, you hear these people online, they're all thinking that AI is taking away their artwork jobs and they're going to be flipping batteries for the big AI. Like, what do you, as an artist who loves AI, what do you think?
Here's the funny thing. Like with, for example, Midjourney, aesthetics, having perfect aesthetics is no longer really an issue, or something much less of an issue. Anybody can create the perfect aesthetics, but nobody, if we're going to be overwhelmed by this visual quantity of amazing stuff, it's losing its meaning. What has meaning is story. What has meaning is when there's a person behind it who says, I'm connected to this thing, and this is why, and this is what it means to me. So images, like visual content without stories, is becoming meaningless. So, and a couple of things, like we were just at AI on the Lot, which is an AI film conference in LA, and they had a competition where the same scenario, the same screenplay basically, and done by different teams. And the team that won it, like there were people that, like, we had all sorts of like people in the film industry, from like lighting design to storyboards and all these other people. The people that won it were two actresses. They didn't really know anything about AI. I mean, their AI stuff, I don't really like their AI stuff. But what they put together, because of the story and the emotions and the way they wove it together, was so compelling, it blew everybody else away. So that tells me, like, these actresses and actors who are worried about losing their job, if they're good actors and actresses, they will be fine. And my experience with it as well, I put together an AI art gallery at Art Basel. And the way I found people is I went to Instagram and I looked who's doing cool stuff. And I reached out to the people I thought were the best, and every single one of them was a career artist. None of them was some like high school kid in Arkansas. They all spent their lives. So I could see their art through the AI because they were artists. So I'm not, as far as technicians go, draftsmen, yes, they will lose their jobs. But if you're an artist, if you're a storyteller, it's going to accelerate you. It's going to propel you even farther. It's just a tool.
I agree with that.
And in the layman's AI, it's so important of what you input to what you output. And so a true artist, visual artist, is going to be able to do that. Now, I know nothing about being an AI artist, but I can see that, garbage in, garbage out, and the artist is going to master that tool as well, just like he does with the physical paints and brushes.
I have a thought on that. I was just thinking this yesterday. Someone was talking about garbage in, garbage out, gigo, and I was just thinking, like, that sounds so city slicker, That's like somebody who never had a compost pile before. It's not garbage in, garbage out. That's not how that works. It's compost in, diverse systems out, right? Isn't it? It's kids. It should be not gigo. It should be kids. Compost in, diverse systems out. Do you disagree? What do you think? Is that crazy? Is that crazy thought?
That makes sense. I have to think about that, though.
Well, kids are way clearer than most adults. We just don't give them credit for it. So,
Andreas, have you been in a self-driving car yet? Because we took a self-driving car last week, and that was my first experience one. I don't think I'm going to be getting in another one after that.
Is that bad, huh? So the last time I was in a self-driving car was 2012, and it was in Los Altos, and we went up and down the Camino Real, and it was terrifying. It was not that terrifying. It was kind of weird. It was not perfect. It was this little bubble car thing that was like a little mini Fiat looking thing, and there's a big dashboard on it. And then there's a steering wheel there, and then we have one person that's supposed to be there, like from the company, in case it didn't work. But I thought that I was hoping it was going to be better in 12 years. No.
Hey, I'm going to drop off. I'm going to go to AGI House, San Francisco. There's an event.
Well, we're going to be done here soon. But Kyle, thank you so much for being here. I hope to God that we get to talk again in the future. It's an honor.
Yeah, it's great to sort of meet you in person. Like,
yeah, we metaversed it now, but I'll see you soon in the flesh. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take care, man.
Andreas, I'm actually going to head out to that event too. I was invited to that as well.
Great. All right. Well, let me wind it down here then. Let me make sure I show everyone's links. I'm going to go back to the Cosmic Human Design podcast here, where you guys can find the.
Greg Schumacher and Jaron Kenyon and Richard Mason are the three on that podcast, and they got some great stuff. Cutting edge evolution of our understanding of what's above, and we know what's going on above. We know what's going on below in a lot more detail.
Awesome. And if there's any other links you want me to share, I'll see you guys later, Winslow. That's hilarious.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Take care, everyone.
Doing good work. Hope to see you in the flesh.
We will soon. Peace out.
Okay.
This next story has been suppressed by mainstream media. Let's go to Andreas for more.
Everybody, tune in to Recent Tartarians.
Recent Tartarians. Recent Tartarians.
Hello. Welcome to the Xirtus. Tune in for another exciting episode of wonder, imagination, and discovery.
Recent Tartarians.
Она образует всеобщие закономерности, определяющие законы классической физики. Для нашего
Sometimes I look at the moon and just think, your skin's beautiful. Baby, when I met you, there was peace unknown.
Что касается энергии нано,